Welcome to the Sleepy Tales podcast, a solo media podcast. Tonight's story is called The Whispering Forest. The sun dipped below the horizon, leaving the world wrapped in the soft embrace of twilight. The air was cool, tinged with a faint scent of pine and lavender. A gentle breeze rustled through the trees, carrying with it the murmur of 1,000 secrets. Nestled on the edge of a vast, ancient forest was a small village of Willowmere, a place where time seemed to flow just a little slower. Willowmere was known for its cobblestone streets, quaint cottages with thatched roofs, and the friendly faces of its residents. But what truly set it apart was the forest. The Whispering Forest, as it was called, stretched out like an emerald sea, its towering trees swaying gently as though in conversation. The villagers often spoke of the forest's magic, a subtle yet undeniable energy that seemed to pulse through its very roots. Few dared to venture deep into the Whispering Forest. It wasn't fear that kept them away, but rather a quiet respect for the mysteries it held. Those who did wander its paths often returned with tales of wonder, streams that sang melodies, flowers that glowed faintly in the dark, and creatures with eyes like lanterns. One such curious soul was Elowen, a young woman with a heart full of dreams and a mind teeming with questions. She had lived in Willowmere all her life, and the forest had been her constant companion. From her window, she would often gaze at its endless expanse, wondering what lay beyond the familiar paths. Elowen loved the village and its people, but she yearned for something more, an adventure, a story of her own. One evening, as the first stars began to speckle in the sky, Elowen stood at the edge of the forest, her lantern casting a warm, golden glow. She had decided it was time to explore deeper than she ever had before. Her heart raced with excitement and a tinge of nervousness, but the call of the forest was too strong to resist. With a deep breath, she stepped onto a narrow path that wound its way into the heart of the Whispering Forest. The trees seemed to welcome her, their branches forming gentle arches overhead. The air was alive with sound, the chirping of crickets, the distant hoot of an owl, and the soft rustling leaves. Elowen felt a strange sense of peace, as though the forest had been waiting for her. As she walked, the world around her seemed to change. The trees grew taller, their trunks thicker, and the light of her lantern reflected off leaves that shimmered like silver. The path became softer, carpeted with moss that cushioned her steps. She paused to admire the beauty around her, marveling at how different the forest felt this deep within. It wasn't long before Elowen came across a small clearing. In the center stood a stone well, its surface covered intricate carvings of vines and stars. Curious, she approached it and peered inside. The water at the bottom was so clear that she could see her reflection, her wide eyes sparkling with wonder. As she leaned closer, a soft voice echoed from the depths of the well. "Welcome, traveler," it said, gentle and melodic. "What is it you seek?" Elowen gasped, her hands flying to her chest. "Who's there?" she called out, her voice trembling slightly. The well seemed to hum with energy. "I am the guardian of the Whispering Forest," the voice replied. "I watch over its secrets and guide those who are pure of heart." Elowen's fear melted away, replaced by awe. "I didn't know the forest had a guardian," she said. I wanted to see more of it, to understand its magic." The voice chuckled softly. "Your curiosity is admirable, Elowen," it said. "The forest has many stories to tell, but only those who truly listen can hear them. If you wish, I can show you its wonders. But be warned, once you step into the heart of the forest, your life will never be the same." Elowen hesitated for a moment. The thought of leaving behind the familiar comfort of her village was daunting, but the allure of the unknown was irresistible. "I'm ready," she said, her voice steady. "Very well," the guardian said. "Follow the path to the east. It will lead you to a place where the veil between both worlds is thin. There, your journey will begin." The voice faded, leaving Elowen alone with her thoughts. She turned her gaze to the east, where a faint glow illuminated the path. Taking a deep breath, she set off, her lantern casting flickering shadows on the trees. As she walked, the forest seemed to come alive. The air grew warmer, filled with the scent of blooming flowers, their light forming patterns that looked almost like runes. Elowen felt a sense of wonder that she had never experienced before, as though the forest itself was rejoicing in her presence. The path led her to a meadow bathed in moonlight. In the center stood a massive oak tree, its branches stretching towards the heavens. Beneath the tree sat an old man with a long silver beard and eyes that twinkled like stars. He wore a robe woven from leaves and flowers, and in his hands he held a scarf carved with symbols that seemed to shift and change. "Ah, Elowen," the man said, his voice deep and resonant. "I've been expecting you." "You have?" Elowen asked, her heart pounding. The man nodded. "The forest has chosen you," he said. "You have a role to play in its story, a story that has been unfolding for centuries." Elowen sat down beside him, her curiosity burning brighter than ever. "What story?" she asked. The man smiled. "Long ago, the Whispering Forest was a place of memory, was a place of harmony," he began. "Its magic flowed freely, bringing life and joy to all who dwelled in it. But as time passed, greed and fear crept into the hearts of men. They sought to control the forest's magic, to bend it to their will. The balance was shattered, and the forest retreated, hiding its secrets from the world." Elowen listened intently, her mind racing. "But why me?" she asked. "What can I do?" "You have a rare gift," the man said. "You see the beauty in the world, even in its smallest details. The forest has felt your love and respect, and it has chosen you to help restore its balance." Elowen felt a surge of determination. "What must I do?" she asked. The man handed her a small glowing orb. It pulsed with a soft golden light, warm to the touch. "This is the heart of the forest," he said. "It contains the essence of its magic. You must take it to the sacred grove, where its light will heal the wounds of the past." Before Elowen could ask where the sacred grove was, the man disappeared, leaving her alone beneath the oak tree. The orb in her hand seemed to hum with energy, as though urging her to move forward. Elowen rose to her feet, her resolve unshaken. She followed a narrow trail that led her deeper into the forest, the orb lighting her way. The journey was not easy. The path was often overgrown and strange sounds echoed through the trees. But Elowen pressed on, her heart guided by a sense of purpose. As she ventured deeper, she encountered creatures she had only heard of in legends. Wisps that danced in the air, their laughs like the twinkling of bells, a family of foxes with fur that shimmered like moonlight, and a great stag with antlers that glowed faintly in the dark. Each encounter filled her with awe and strengthened her resolve. Finally, after what felt like hours, Elowen reached the sacred grove. It was a place of breathtaking beauty, a circular clearing surrounded by ancient trees whose branches intertwined to form a canopy of light. In the center stood a pedestal carved from crystal, its surface etched with symbols that glowed faintly. Elowen approached the pedestal and placed the orb on its surface. As she did, the grove was filled with a radiant light. The trees seemed to sigh in relief, their leaves rustling softly. The air was filled with the sound of a melody, soft, haunting, and beautiful. The light enveloped Elowen, and for a moment she felt as though she was one with the forest. She could feel its heartbeat, its pain, and its joy. Tears streamed down her face as she realized the depth of the forest's love and resilience. When the light faded, the grove was transformed. The trees stood taller, their leaves a vibrant green. The air was filled with the sound of bird song and the gentle hum of insects. The forest was alive once more. Elowen felt a sense of peace wash over her. She knew her journey was far from over, but she also knew she would never be alone. The Whispering Forest had become a part of her, just as she had become a part of it. As she made her way back to Willowmere, the sun began to rise, casting the world in shades of gold and pink. Elowen smiled, her heart full of hope and wonder. She knew that this was only the beginning of her story, a story that would continue to unfold, guided by the whispers of the forest. Thank you for listening to The Whispering Forest. I hope you sleep well. Good night.